Right now we have on once again Steve Adubato. He is a political and media analyst extraordinaire, birthed in New Jersey, was a Democratic assemblyman in the state legislature in Trenton, but now he does a lot of lecturing and a lot of sit-downs with a lot of key people in how to be a better leader. It's called Lessons in Leadership, and he's also the host of the Steve Adubato's Lesson in Leadership Forum. So you're doing a lot of training of a lot of gavones out there who are getting themselves in trouble, right, Steve?
Well, I'm not going with that word, but I'm going to say this, Curtis. By the way, the Curtis on ice is in my mind. I got to get it out of my mind right now. But I got to tell you, if we're talking about New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who just recently published, my book is called Lessons in Leadership. He has a leadership book out, which I read, found fascinating. But nowhere in that book, Curtis, does the governor talk in a candid, honest way, in my view, reflecting on his own performance as it relates to sending people, back into nursing homes with COVID without guaranteeing and making sure that all the precautions were being taken to protect those folks. They trusted, if you will, the nursing homes to do the right thing. And then the really bad part, Curtis, the intentional undercounting of the number of people. Forget about numbers. These are human beings, someone's mother, someone's father, sister, brother who died in a nursing home. And his top aide shares with folks in the legislature privately, which is now public. We didn't want the Trump administration, the Department of Justice, the feds looking at us a certain way. So they undercount the number of people, and then I don't know if you want to use the word cover up or whatever. And now what's he apologizing for? What's he owning? It's a long-winded way of saying, I said this to you last time, Curtis, own it. Own it quickly. Take responsibility. You screwed up. And for some reason, Governor Cuomo hasn't gotten that lesson in leadership.
Well, we noticed that when Donald Trump was president of the United States, he oftentimes would never apologize, would never wave the flag and say, I could have done it better. What is it about these men of consequence that it is beneath them to humble themselves and admit when they're wrong, or maybe they could have used a better rationale? What do you think is in their psyche where they refuse to apologize even when it's to their detriment?
So I often tell people my PhD is not in psychology, but I'm around the fringes, if you will, without a license. So I can't read anyone's mind, Curtis, but I got to tell you something. Hubris, arrogance, a false sense of confidence that is so false that you're confused and you think that if I say I did it wrong, if I say I made a mistake, if I say it's on me, people will think less of me. And here's the irony, Curtis. People think the opposite. The vast majority of people will give you credit for being candid and upfront, learning from your mistakes, but you can't learn from a mistake until you say it's mine, until you say, yes, we undercounted, and I knew that was happening, and it was wrong. Because the fact is everyone knows it now, and Ted Cruz in the same boat. Sooner or later, the truth was going to come out. So he blames his two daughters. He throws them under the bus. They have tire marks on there. These are young kids. That was my girls. I was going to drop them off, but he's got the bag. Oh, no, my wife. Then the wife puts the text messages out to friends, you want to go to Mexico with us while people are suffering in Texas? Hey, Ted, it was coming out sooner or later. I said this to you last time, Curtis. When you're the one owning it and up front, you can not control the narrative, but at least get your story out there. Now, Cuomo and Cruz are big time on their heels on the defensive.
All right, so if you had Ted Cruz with you, again, very pretentious, omnipotent, thinks he knows it all, Harvard graduate, law school.
Constitutional lawyer.
Right, so he's the best, not like the rest. He's intellectually stupid not to have figured out that if he's leaving in the midst of this disaster in Texas, something they've never faced before.
Terrible.
To go to Cancun, the optics are going to be horrible because there's no way. You can't hide nowadays to the ends of the world. Even if you were in Antarctica, someone's going to pick you up. They're going to take a selfie of you. It's going to go virtual. Do you think anybody on his staff maybe tried to do an intervention and said, Senator, don't do it. It's gonna be a disaster?
look at it. I'm glad you framed it the way you did about staff. So whether it's Donald Trump, Andrew Cuomo, Ted Cruz, and countless other disproportionately male, but I imagine women in leadership positions. I'm not sure what it'd be like because there are not that many. But I got to tell you something. Apparently, these, quote, leaders have people around them who will not challenge them in this way, because if you challenge them, they're not there. And I've got to believe that Ted Cruz had the kind of staff that didn't say, Senator, hold on. Just what you said. It not only looks bad, it is bad. It's not only a question of perception. There are people suffering. No heat, no electricity. The kids, you can't do this. You are a public official. Plus, Ted Cruz criticized the mayors of certain communities in Texas for not being available during a crisis. And this guy goes away in the worst crisis in the history of Texas because he was doing it for his family, then blames his family. He is so tone deaf and clearly doesn't have anyone who will challenge or stand up to him. And I believe different parties, by the way, Republican, Democrat, irrelevant. Andrew Cuomo apparently doesn't have someone to do that for him either, Curtis.
Well, notice Ted Cruz, he not only went away to Cancun and then came back, but right there in his hometown of Houston, he lives in Royal Oaks, which is quite the suburb. But just a few miles away, there was AOC, all out crazy, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, helping to give out supplies and getting donated $4 million. I mean, that was like a double oofa to him.
And you know something, Curtis? I really don't care what AOC's politics are or not. I don't care if she's a socialist, progressive, irrelevant. You know what happens? In a crisis, when people are struggling, no one gives a damn about your party affiliation. You're raising money to help people, to provide them with what they need in a crisis. That's what Ted Cruz doesn't get. It's not only D and an R. It's not always a D and an R. It's not only for us or against us. It's not always name calling. It's not only it's not posturing. It's making a difference. And he didn't make a difference, and he compounded it by leaving, blaming, lying, covering up, and that's the height of insensitivity. And forget about what it means for him politically, nationally, much less in Texas, because this is one that people are not going to forget anytime soon. And frankly, I'll repeat myself, I think that Governor Cuomo, who's very savvy, very smart, very articulate, doesn't seem to get this one either, because people lost loved ones in nursing homes. You don't undercount them because you think it's going to hurt you politically, because now, not only have you hurt those people, you've really hurt yourself.
Now, let me take you back in time, Steve Adubato, to your home state on the tarmac at Newark International Airport with Shamu, El Jefe, Chris Christie, his family, his wife, Patty. And she looked at the governor. Snowstorm was coming. Guadagno, the lieutenant governor, was on some kind of cruise in the Gulf of Mexico. And she says, Gov, we're going to Disney World. We're not staying here in New Jersey. And you remember what a disaster that was as they were on Blizzard Beach in Disney World, while New Jersey residents were stuck with snow, sleet, electric power outs. And I think Shamu El Jefe, Chris Christie, had to fly back to Allentown International Airport and be squired in with a fleet of SUVs that had plows in front in order to get him to Trenton.
You know, Curtis, clearly a mistake in judgment, clearly an error. But I've got to say this. Governor Christie, for the faults that you just laid out clearly, when it came to Hurricane Sandy, on the job, every day, hands dirty, in it, aggressive, assertive, caring about people, engaged, bringing in President Obama, a Democrat who he did not like politically at all because it was good for the state. Point is this. We all make dumb mistakes, and I'm the first to admit in my opening chapter of Lessons in Leadership, it's filled with leadership mistakes I've made. But if you don't learn from it, which I believe Christie has, Ted Cruz hasn't. I'm not convinced Cuomo has. It's not about the mistake. It's about compounding the mistake by lying, deceiving, and covering up and blaming other people. That's even worse.
Now, Donald Trump is reemerging out of Mar-a-Lago. He's speaking at the conservative conference next Sunday.
Sure is.
Not suggesting that he would ever take advice from you, me, or the guy on the pillow guy there. My pillow
guy, Mike Lindell.
Right. Or Rudy or anyone else. What would you say to him as he reemerges? This is his first major national appearance. Obviously, the crowd will it'll be a form of idolatry. But if you could suggest one thing, what would you say to him?
You mean what I'm going to say would say that he would absolutely ignore?
Yes.
Okay, here it is. Because I don't think he's capable of this. For all of his leadership qualities, his strength, his assertiveness, et cetera, here's what he misses. He lacks empathy. He lacks compassion for others, at least publicly. I would advise him in front of those who are adoring him to say that these are the things I'm proud of, and these are the mistakes that we made. That what happened on January 6th was absolutely inexcusable, was un-American, and that if we love those men and women in blue, that was wrong on every level. And I implore those who believe in me and support me to be peaceful in your protest, to do it assertively and aggressively, but don't harm other people. And that was a mistake that he made. I mean, I would say that he would question the way he framed what he said on the 6th. That ain't going to happen. The whole, we won the election, it was he'll never stop that. I would advise him to stop talking about that because it's dividing his own party and dividing the country. But Curtis, snowball's chance in hell. Ain't going to happen because Cuomo won't listen to me, Cruz won't listen to me, and I guarantee you Donald Trump wouldn't listen to me.
Now, out of the many elected officials that you've known, and you've known quite a few in your lifetime, both Democrats and Republicans, who was open to counsel, who was not that pretentious, was not that thinking that he was all-knowing or she was all-knowing, that would actually sit and listen to their advisors, listen to people who are trying to help them through a difficult time?
You know, I'll tell you who I think came close. President Obama, even though I thought he made ridiculous excuses for when the website, healthcare.gov, that he was responsible for didn't work, and he called them glitches, meaning the thing didn't work. I got to tell you, I do believe he surrounded himself, particularly, I'll give you an interesting one. Everything I've read about Michelle Obama, she was in his face. She made it clear to him when what he was doing or saying or not doing or saying was not okay. And he listened to her, respected her opinion, and he had other people, Valerie Jarrett and others, who I believe told him as they saw it. And he surrounded himself with those people. For all of his flaws, which were considerable as a leader and as a president, I believe that he was close to what you're trying to describe. Last thing I'll tell you is most people who run for that office have to have an ego so big, so strong, that their inclination is to think they know it all, and they don't, and that's a terrible, terrible leadership quality.
We do appreciate it. Steve Adubato, as you know, he conducts lessons in leadership. He wrote a book about lessons in leadership without having to vacate, Cuomo, what you were doing at that time, a leadership book in the middle of the crisis. At least you were able to give advice to so many people to hope that they will avoid making it more difficult for themselves. So appreciate that, Steve.
I appreciate being with you as always, Curtis. All the best to you and your audience.